And we're back. And this is another, you guys, those of you who are watching the video, in this video, we decided I make the parenting over 40 videos on YouTube. We don't hide these. So I'm smiling really hard because I am back with my second sunshine. Bryant Johnson, how you be? How are you?
Hello, hello. Bryant Johnson here. I'm great. I'm great.
It's so good to see you like in this format. And you guys have to understand, when I ask my sons to do this, I make sure I treat them like guests. They get the email, they get the links, they have to
Yep.
prepare. Yep. So it's real world stuff. So Bryant, we're gonna have some fun. Your brother showed out. I don't know. We'll see kind of how. No, he
Wait,
showed
what
out
did
in
he
a really
do?
great way. No. He did a great job in his interview. But this
Oh,
this is my second son, Bryant, who is 17 years old. I'm going to let him kind of tell you in just a moment more about himself. But I wanted to bring both my sons on because they see their mother do all this stuff online and they see her do all these things. But I'm like, I'm really proud of them and I want to bring them in the world of what I do a little bit more. But I also want to encourage those parents out there who are raising children, young adults, all of the things, um, to consider parenting maybe from their lens, from how they experience it. So, Bryant, tell the good people a little bit more about yourself. Who are you? How would you describe yourself and what you about?
well, for starters, I am Brian Johnson. Um, to describe myself, I'm more of like the calm, chill person, more so laid back when I usually talk in settings like this. But 17, I go to home with Flossmore, and I'm ready to leave that school right now. I'm not gonna lie. Kind of tired of it, but it is what it is. I plan on going to college, of course. I actually got into my two colleges, Morgan and Hampton, my two schools.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations,
So
baby. Yeah.
so that's just me right now, and I'm just here. I don't know.
Ah, congratulations. I haven't made that formally announced, so you guys get the exclusive. Bryant has been accepted to his top two. Oh Lord, that's a whole nother episode, is getting your kids through college application. And what is it that well, two questions. You said college, of course. Why is it that you're wanting to go to college? What is that for you? What is that about for you?
Well, I think college is like I think it's like mandatory. I'm not gonna lie. In like this world right now, I feel like you have to, or like you should, if anything, because it's like a learning experience. I haven't been there yet, but I feel like I've heard about it like my whole life. So that's all I'm hearing about it, like college, college, college. So
Mhm.
I want to see how it goes, and I just want to experience it, honestly.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, your father and I both, I know we've talked a lot about college and I'm curious because your brother went to college and decided to not do college. How did that make you feel, or what's your thoughts about that? Especially since you said it's kind of mandatory. I'm just curious.
Um, I think he should stay in college. I mean, like he should still like be there, like, but still do what he's doing.
Mm.
And but if he's doing like really good in YouTube, then yeah, he can drop it. Like really, really good, in YouTube, then he could drop it. But for right now, like still
Mhm.
coming up, I think he should still stay in college so he still has like a backup just in case.
Mm. Just in case. Yeah. Yeah, lots of theories behind that, and obviously he's still young, he has time. But let's get back to you. So, you talked about being 17, getting a little bit tired of high school, being a calm kid. For you, and you think of your parents and you think of kind of your childhood when you were little. So I need you to go reflect before the teen years. What kind of kid were you? Do you think the way you are today Is that the same kid, or who was that kid before teenage years?
I think before I was more of like a say whatever's on my mind type of guy. Like
Mm,
it didn't matter what setting I was in. I would just say whatever I thought was what I was thinking. I didn't know what I was like really saying. So I think I was way more outgoing in that way. But I was
mhm,
still. I think I was still like calm and like a setting like it's like a party. I'm still gonna be like the guy that's just like not jumping up and down and so just like still just gonna be there. And I'm still that person right now. So
mhm,
I think back then I was just like more outgoing when I spoke and when I talked to
mhm,
people. Like I'm
mhm,
more like let me hear what you say first type of person before I just say
mm.
whatever I say. So
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that for sure. I, as the parent, from my view, yes, you were my performer. You were
what
my
does that
kid who,
what does that mean?
like you were very expressive. You've always been calm. Like the calmness of you has always been there, but you were very expressive, and you're still expressive. You've always been very thoughtful. Like you really, your heart, you wear your heart, and that's always been. I just think when you were, what I experienced from you was, as a kid, you wanted to express all that enthusiasm, express all that, love and thought, and that's
Yeah.
how I experienced you.
I don't do that as much now I think about it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't. But I think
Yeah.
that's just because I got older a little bit.
Hmm.
But I think I was way more like you said, outgoing. Whenever's on my mind, I'm gonna say that. Like if I really think it. So yeah, I think I
Right.
was
Right.
just
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because as a parent, we watch our children change, especially when you become teenagers. As kids, you're just your kids, so you're more immature. Obviously, you say more things. You're more, you can be more outgoing in some ways, and then you become a teenager, and there's more peer involvement, your friends. So some of that, is just normal. I think sometimes as parents, we worry that, oh, we don't want our kids to lose their innocence or to lose that thing that made them, really special. But you haven't. Like you're still that very thoughtful. You've just always been super thoughtful. And so I guess my next question for you, oh, where are my questions? Let me make sure I ask this because I want to make sure because I have seen you really shift, Bryant, in the past. You've matured really beautifully in the past year. I've really seen a shift in how you present yourself, your focus. How do you feel? The name of this podcast is Finding Your Voice. So, how do you feel so far at this young age of 17? You have found your voice so far,
how
found who
about
you are. Like,
oh
how
so
have you, yeah, found kind of who you are? Like, is
okay.
there anything you've done to kind of figure out this is how I want to be or not?
Yeah. Well for starters I've been meditating and I've been learning about myself more by like learning on the way I think and like the way I persuade things and like how I act on a
Mm,
day-to-day basis. Like I think over time I just grew to watch myself and how I move and how I like act. So like I
mm,
was way more careful in my like mind, like while I was
mm,
watching me do like some other stuff. But I think I like found it by just really like yeah, that I don't know that
well, let's talk about the meditation because that fascinates me.
yeah,
And a lot of people who are listening to this or who know me may think that I was sitting up and I'm who like told you you should meditate. But that true? Is that
no,
no?
no. I was just on YouTube one time and it popped up. It was like some weird like just like before you go to bed, like quick breather. And I was just like, mm, let me try it real quick. And it was really
Mm,
cool. It was just like really peaceful and really calm. And it helped me go to sleep. I slept so good that night. It was wild. I, I don't know.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
the next like I didn't do it again for like the next like week or two, I think.
Mhm.
But I got back to it and I was like, maybe like let me see if it was a fluke. Let me see if it was like a one time thing. And I did again and it was like the same feeling. I'm like, what? So I just kept doing
Yeah.
that and I got deeper into it as I kept doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but this is how I experienced it. Because you hadn't really told me about that in live time. You told me about that later, but I remember I used to do guided meditations with women over Zoom, pretty much on a monthly basis. I don't really do that now, but I used to do that. And this was the early part of 2023, and you had asked me if you could join a session. You remember that?
Yeah.
So had you already started with what you just explained, or
No,
was
I
it?
actually think I did that before. I'm not gonna
Mm,
lie. Yeah, I think I did that before. The
mhm.
other thing. Yeah, I was right there actually when I did it. Yeah, it was good. It was like what, 10 minutes? Was it
Yeah.
10 minutes?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was it was good.
Yeah. And why did you feel like you needed to ask about meditation? What was happening?
I think with all the school stuff and all the college stuff, it was like causing me like some stress about like
Mm,
what I'm gonna do or like if this is the right thing for me. And I was looking up like ways to like find like peace and find like stableness through the stress. So I
mm,
just overheard you like meditating, and I was like, okay, like, I've heard a lot about meditation before, but then I did my own research on it, and I was like,
mm.
okay, this might work. So then I called you up and asked to do a meditation, and it worked.
I love that so much. It almost brings tears to my eyes. No, it really because when I'm coaching people and I'm counseling people, particularly parents, I always tell people, our children, they're watching us more than they're listening to us a lot of, meaning we tell them, go do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. And that's why the Charlie Brown teacher that goes, womp, 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 that's what makes it so funny because kids, I don't think they hear the words, but it comes across more like a womp, womp, womp. But when they see you in action and living your truth,
Yeah,
or if you're not living your truth, they're absorbing more of that than they are of the, womp, womp, womp.
yeah,
So that just, yeah, that really warms my heart.
yeah. I definitely watch you more than I listen. I could say that. That's true. That's true.
So speaking of saying you watching more, and this was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. What is some advice? Like, okay, so you're 17, you're young, you're just, you're gonna about to go to college and kind of begin the next stage of life. But in these 17 years watching your parents, like, what do you think? Well, two parts to this question. One, how the way you've been raised up to now, how has that experience been for you? Now, I know that might be a hard question, and I might be harder for me to hear, but go ahead.
Wait, say it again. Say it again. Say it again.
So the way that you have been raised by me, by your father,
Hmm.
like, how has that experience been for you?
I think it's been very like soothing and easy. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like
Yeah.
the way you guys like raised me and Trey has been like it's been no problems. Like I'm not saying not
Yeah.
saying no problems, but I mean like no
Right.
problems in a way of like of how like I've been like taken care of. Like I've always had food, I've always had somewhere to sleep, I've always like done stuff like that. I've always like been taken care of. Like
Yeah.
if I were to ask for like some quick, then you guys would have me or like if I
Yeah.
never like stressed about stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, yes, it was smooth sailing. Like it was perfect. I'm not gonna lie. But in the aspect of like how the relations went and how everybody was
Yeah.
like that, that was a little it had a little bumps, but it was still smooth overall. But it had a little bumps in it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think overall the way you raised me so far has been. amazing, outstanding.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's see, I'm about to cry again, Brian. You like about to bring some tears. And I challenge parents to ask their kids that question because what's going through their minds, how they are experiencing you at whatever age is probably either it's on track to kind of what you feel, or it's very different. And that different doesn't necessarily have to mean negative, but it helps for you to see through their lens so you can begin to maybe take care of some needs that they otherwise wouldn't tell you about, just because your mom and dad. And it really helps you. It helped for me with you and Trey. It helps me put the mirror on myself and like, okay, what can I do differently? What can I do more of? What can I do less of? So I appreciate that. And yeah, there have been bumps. I mean, and I'm pretty public. I've let people know that, your dad and I, we co-parent. We're not married anymore, but and yeah, like you said, the relationships, things they get bumpy. But the overall, like you said, overall though, you feel like, it's been good. And I think parents need to check in with their kids. Don't think, because sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves and think, oh my gosh, I suck. Or we think, oh, I'm doing an amazing job with my kids. And then the kids are like, ugh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. Well, the next question I have for you is self-care, and you talked about meditating. But I'd love to hear this word self-care. It's much more buzzy in today's time. Like we never even had that word. When I was growing up, nobody had even heard of self-care. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't even a terminology. So what does self-care mean to you? What does that mean to you?
I think that just means taking care of yourself mentally and physically. Like making sure that you feel great at all times and you feel good and you're doing the things to make you feel good or and look good to how you want to
Mm,
be.
mm,
So for me that can be like washing my face every morning or like doing my hair every morning. That's making sure that I'm taking care of myself and making my self-care go up. And
mm,
mentally making sure I meditate like at least like every night or every 2 nights to make sure
mhm.
that in the mind I'm still great. And without mental, you're not gonna get the physical. I'm not gonna lie. So you have to have the mental for sure. So I think self care is just taking care of yourself mentally, physically. That's,
I love it. I love it. I love it. You mentioned about doing the meditation every 1 to 2 nights. Like for you, when you don't meditate, if you find yourself in a period of time where maybe you didn't hit, like it's been a few days, or when you haven't done it, what's the biggest difference you feel? Like what happens when you don't meditate?
I just I like overthink things like way more.
Mm,
Like if I'm in a situation where like I don't know what to do, I'm gonna just procrastinate, and just like overthink the like whatever I'm doing. So when I meditate, that lessens by like 80%, and like
mm,
it's way easier to just let situations happen and let them pass and let me like stay present at all times.
mm, mm. Well, that's a word because I think, I do meditate. I don't think I meditate as much as you, and I get in and out of practice. But that whole, I hate to say that I passed that gene to you, but that
What?
the overthink gene. And because I wonder if your dad, because I always sometimes feel like both of us have that overthink gene, overthink. And you're right, for me too. It's like when I'm in any kind of rhythm of self-care, then that I tend to let that go more. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, what are you most looking forward to going to college? Now, you didn't mention about what you want to study, but maybe share with us what you're thinking about and what you're looking most forward to.
Well, I'm studying architecture for right now. I'm gonna see
Mhm,
how it goes. I'm gonna see how everything works out. Right now, I still have a love for it, a passion for it, but
mhm.
I've heard a lot of times it switches up in college. So I'm gonna be aware of that when I'm there. I'm gonna be aware of that. So that's that's what I'm looking for. Well, that's just what it is. But what I'm looking forward to is being on my own and meeting new people. Honestly, like
Mm.
for right now, I feel like I've been in the same four corners of my life. Like I feel like I can go here, I can go there, I can go there, and that's it. But like when I'm in college, I think I'm gonna be able to like see new people, see new things that I've never seen before. So I just want to see that, and being on my own is gonna be a whole new experience. So I want to see that too.
Yep. I think you're going to meet all of those things. I'm curious, do you have any fear behind like being on your own or being in an unfamiliar environment?
Uh,
And not to
kind,
bring up fears, but
yeah,
I think it's a reality, you
yeah.
know.
I always think that it's possible. Like something like, well, right now, I don't really have any fears. I'm not gonna lie, but
Good.
like I've heard that Morgan just got shot. I don't know, so like
Yeah, right.
that kind of
Right.
made me little suspicious about it.
Right.
But
Right.
overall, like fears like being on my own. Nah, I don't really see anything because like yeah, no, I don't.
Good, good. I'm glad. I mean, I work at a university, and so I work with students all day, and I've worked in university settings. It's funny because I'm just now more publicly talking about working at a university, but I've been in higher education since 1999.
Wow.
Yes, and I know, right? It's like, what? It's just, I never, well, one, social media wasn't a part of the first 10 years of my working. So there was really, unless you stayed in touch with me, you weren't gonna know that. And then by the time social media did hit, I had taken a pause from working from higher education to do my music. So when Facebook and Instagram and all those things hit, I had walked away from academics for a bit so that I could do my other passion, which is music. And so it was in 2019 that I decided to get back into academics because of a myriad of things. It was really initially just because I wanted to create some stability for you and your brother. Your father and I were deciding to make some changes in our lives, and I knew I needed to have some stability. And so that's what my initial foray. But I love the university I'm at, and it's just grown from there. So, I'm working with students all the time. And what you're talking about, I almost want to play this for them because having an open mind, being willing to explore, being willing to experience something different than you thought you were going to experience, all of those things are really important to your success in college because you got to be flexible, you got to be adjustable, and you got to be willing to keep an open mind and experience new things and get support,
Yeah.
and get support. That's going to
Where does
be,
the support come from? Like you got?
Well, there's support with your academics, and then there's support, social support, and then there's just that individual support that you need. And so, those to me are the three main things in college you have to navigate in terms of support. You want to meet the right crew of people. You're going to meet a lot of people that come from some very similar backgrounds as you, but you're also going to meet some people that are like, what? Like very different than how you grew up or know things. And so, you want to make sure you find your tribe. Like you can be, okay, I got this friend over here. I've always been, you're like this. You have a lot of different kind of friend groups. Like you
Mhm.
have your main crew, but you're friendly with the athletes over
Yeah.
here, you're friendly with the group over here. Your brother's a little bit different. He's way more, this is my tribe, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be with no other tribe.
Yeah.
I am definitely more like you. Like I'll have a tribe, but I have this, I have that. So I think it's important in college is to kind of figure out the tribe, figure out the people that you can trust because you may get into some compromising situations and you
That
want to
kind of
make
just
sure.
scared me. I'm not gonna lie. That kind of just scared me
Ah,
because now like I'm thinking like if I meet the wrong group of people first, then I'm gonna just think that's my tribe because like you just said, I'm in all these different tribes because I get along with like this amount of people. So like I might get along with the wrong people and put me in the wrong setting. So I gotta look at that.
you got and just keep doing your meditation and trusting your intuition. Like that's, Brian and I talk a lot about intuition and spirituality and numerology and astrology. Um, Speaking of that, what are your thoughts about the spirituality and stuff? That wasn't one of the questions, but
What do you
what
mean
are your thoughts?
spiritual?
Like
Uh
like the conversations we have about soul, the
oh,
soul, and
they're great. I love them. Yeah, no, I love them. Cause it's like almost like we're talking about our purpose here and like talking
yeah,
about why we're here and talking about what everything is going on right now. So it's like
yeah,
it's really cool to talk about. It's kind of scary to think about, but it's like it's cool to like have like a talk about that because yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I'll kind of say this, Bryant started seeing the number 4 all the time. He was like,
Oh
"Mom,
yeah,
everywhere I go, I see 444 or I see
still happens.
44."
Still happens every day. Every day. Every day it happens. Every day.
And I think that's when we started really opening the door to talking more about the soul because, I've always been on this path. But again, with our children, I don't ever like force my kids to believe the way I believe or to do what I do. I challenge them sometimes. They'll say something. I'm like, well, what about? But I've never really told you guys, you must think, whatever. I wasn't raised like that. And I'm very thankful that your grandparents, they were very open about spirituality and stuff. So you kept saying the number 4. And I was like, well, Bryant, that's a spiritual thing. Like that's a
Yeah.
soul thing. And remember what happened when we went on the college visitation trip.
Oh, you talking about the Chick-fil-A?
Well, before the Chick-fil-A, we were seeing 4s all the time, right?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, I was it was wild. It was like as soon as we touched down in VA or like wherever we were, the EMV,
Yeah.
I saw fours everywhere. I mean on license plates, on times, on clocks, on shirts. I saw it everywhere. I was like, what is going on right now? So I just kept seeing them and I was like, this has to mean something because these are the two places that this is the one place I
Yeah.
need to be and I'm seeing fours right now. I'm like, okay, something's going on. Something's
That's what's going on, right?
going
And then the Chick-fil-A, I'll tell part of it. I'll let you tell kind of the other part. We had gone to Hampton. Hampton was having high school days. So that's where they invite high school juniors and seniors to come up and visit the campus. And they have it all done up for us and hype you up so that you like come to Hampton, So it
yeah.
was a big, and those of you who don't know, Hampton is probably one of the top, it's definitely top 10, probably top 5 best HBCUs out here. So it's a really it's an honor to be a part of Hampton and Morgan State too. One of the top schools as well, especially for architecture. And so we're at Hampton, and we decided it's thousands of kids, guys. All right, so it's tons of high school students, and plus the Hampton students. And so they had a Chick-fil-A. Now they had some other places, but they had Chick-fil-A. And so Brian's like, I want Chick-fil-A. And I'm like, oh Lord. And your dad was like, well, I'm gonna go get something from somewhere else. And I was like, okay, well, me and you, I'll stand in this line that is forever.
It was the longest line I've ever seen. Oh my god.
It
It was
was.
never ending. It was never ending. It was
It was never
it just
ending.
kept going. No, that was wild. And then, bro.
And so what happened? Yeah, you just so
Oh,
we get in
okay.
the line,
We
and
get in
what
the
happened?
line and we order the food and we see all these people coming back. So we're like, we're not gonna get our food for like 40 minutes, 30 minutes.
Right,
So
right, right.
we see the time. It's like what, like 30 or something,
Yeah, maybe around 4:30ish.
4:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom's like, she's like 4:44. If it comes down, if we get our food at this time, you're getting into this school. You're getting into this school. You're getting into the school. And I was like, no way it's gonna happen. I don't believe you. We've been seeing all these fours, but this is too crazy. This will not happen. So then they call our food at 4:44, and I'm looking at her like, what? What? I was losing my mind. I was losing my mind. I was like,
That
no
was
way.
so crazy because I had looked at my watch or the phone and it said like it said 4:40 like 2. And I remember the person I saw somebody get their food and I remember they were not too far ahead of us and I was like, "Oh
Oh, it's
my
coming down. It
god."
was coming down to it. It was
Yes.
coming down. It was like a ticking time bomb. Like I
Right.
was like, no way it's about to happen. Oh my god.
Right. And it hit 4:44 on the phone and the lady said, Kenya or whatever. And I was like, oh my God. And even I mean, I said that, but I was just kind of playing along because
Yeah,
we've been talking about 444 so much.
yeah.
So the
Oh,
spirituality stuff is real. And again, it's always really fun to talk to you about that. So all right, we're getting close to our 30 minutes. I have a couple more questions and then we're going to wrap up. But what advice would you give parents who have sons and daughters your age? What advice would you give them in terms of parenting or or things that they should think about as parents of teenagers?
Um, be very like aware of how they're feeling at like all times, and be aware of like what's going on through their head and what they're thinking, because what you think your kid might be going through might be a whole different thing if you don't even talk about it. Like if
Mm,
you don't like address it at all. Like because a lot of these kids are like they might look a certain way, but they might be feeling a whole different thing. So I would just say like make sure you talk to them and be aware of what's going on. Really,
mm, yeah.
be sure.
Thank you. I think that's excellent advice. And yeah, I know y'all get tired of me because I'll be like, everything, how are you? How's everything going? You want to explain how
Yeah,
this
yeah. That
is?
I'm I'm glad you say that. I'm glad you say it. See, the kid doesn't want to hear that all the time, but like
Right.
it's good that they asked it though, because
Yeah.
it's a checkup.
Yeah, it is definitely a check-in. And I don't really know what made me cuz I can't say that my parents really did that, to be honest. I don't and again, I come from a very generation where a very different generation where it's like feel what? Yeah, like, I mean it just we didn't talk about feelings. Like it
Yeah,
just, and those who are a lot of the people listening to this podcast who are over 40, over 50, what have you can probably relate. We weren't asked how we felt. We were told what to do. And, you know,
I
that was
can't.
pretty much you figure it out. And I'm not saying that that's all parents. I'm sure that there was the occasion, but I don't know. I think because of the work that I do and just kind of the energy that I have, the curiosity that I have, and because I'm watching these little people all day long, I'm like, well, how do you feel about it? Like I don't, I know I feel like this, but how are you?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. All right, and then my second to last question is, what advice, I guess, would you give to other teenagers or young adults who are having a hard time like finding their voice or figuring out purpose or what they want to do? Is there any advice that you
I
would
would
give?
say be yourself at all times, and like
Mhm,
be who you are, so that you make sure that you're on the right path. Because with all this social media and stuff, it's easy to like see what everybody else is doing and want to like tap into this and tap into that and be like, oh, I need this, I need that. But if you just stay to yourself and stay
mhm,
to who you are, then you're gonna find. I feel like you'll find your purpose way easier and way better than just finding it like
mm.
through social media and stuff. It's just stupid.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about social media. Before I ask this last question, what are your, because I mean, you grew up with social media. That wasn't even a part of my existence until I was in my 40s. Really, late 30s, early 40s. For you, like, how do you cope with social media? How do you handle it? Or do you? Do you feel like you do?
Um, I think I get on social media for like a decent amount of time. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm,
I like to see what's going on in the world because it's entertaining, of course. By the end of the day, like it's cool. Like it's a
mhm,
cool thing that was created. So yeah, I'm gonna check it out. But I don't think that like putting your whole life into it is necessary whatsoever. Like, because that's how you really lose yourself and lose who you are. If you just look and like most people nowadays, like they spend hours in on it, and that's
mm,
just social media is just like taking in all these people's just like brains. Honestly, like it's like washing them. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's really like doing that. So I think social media is it's cool. You just gotta like be smart with it. And you gotta like know what you're doing when you get on
Mm,
it and stuff like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. I commend you and your brother. You both have, I think, taken a lot of I mean, Trey has a much riskier kind of personality. He wants to push the limits, but he's made that now into his career, so he has kind of a space to put it out there. But even there, he has a very specific, it's basketball or it's music. Like those are
Yeah,
the two things that he's not putting his private life out there by any
yeah,
means. And you two I'm really commend you both for that, that you don't post your private lives. And yes, you watch and you hear things, and obviously you guys are young and you whatever, you're a part of that, a generation that indulges in it and consumes it. But I'm thankful, grateful that you both have something in you. Something has been planted somewhere to not, just get so lost in it.
yeah.
That's yeah, 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 that's huge. Well, my last question is, well, second to last. What is your I keep saying that. There's one more I'm gonna ask after this, but what is your theme song? Now, I know I need to write this down because I part of me probably, although Brian and I are a little more aligned with music, but what's a song that just is like your theme song?
See, I was overthinking this question a little bit. Not gonna lie, when you asked me it, and I was stuck between because I didn't want to choose like a trap song, but like a song that I could always hear and I could always be like, yeah, this is gold. This is a good song for me. And I was
Mm.
thinking like, Love by Music Soul Child. Anytime I hear that
Mm.
song, I really like that song.
I
But then I
love it.
was thinking about Remember the Time by Michael Jackson. I was like, it's either those two. It's either those two.
Oh,
I
I
don't know.
love that. Well,
Those are
see,
my
as I said, you and I are a bit more aligned. Like, Brian can sit down and listen to the same music I listen to, and Trey can too. But Trey's definitely a more of a hip hop. He's going to be more in the rap space. But
not
you,
like
yes,
R&B.
it is funny because though Trey, while that he still really gets good music, like he can tell when there's a song
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
good. Yeah,
yeah.
even when it's not. But I will take Love by Music Soul Child, and I'll take Remember the Time by Michael Jackson. So those
Wait,
are
what do you
good.
do with? Do you ask everybody this?
I do, and we have a playlist on Spotify.
Oh, oh, that's good.
So these songs will be added to the playlist. And thank you for saying that, so I can remind people to go on, head over to the Finding Your Voice After 40 playlist. All you gotta do is put that in the search. It now the podcast may, because Spotify, the
Wait, do you
podcast
put
is
your
there as
podcast
well.
on Spotify too?
Yes, my love, you're going to be heard all over the world. I am currently played in, I think, over 30 some countries at this point, maybe 40 some at this point. So
I did not know.
people will get to know you from all over the land, which is fun and exciting, and, you know, no pressure. I'm glad I didn't tell that to you before. But
Yeah,
any-
this interview would have went way differently if you told me that.
No, I did. Yeah, that's we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Yeah, it's worldwide, love. Worldwide. Well, anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I had asked, or anything that you just want people to know about you or you want to share before we say goodbye to the good people?
Mm, I just say mindfulness is life.
Mm,
That's my three words. Mindfulness is
yeah,
life.
yeah.
Mindfulness, you can't go wrong when you're mindful at all. I think. Like when you're
Mm.
mindful of everything you're doing, yeah, no. Mindfulness is life. That's me.
I love that. I love that for my Gemini sun. Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, which is the mind. Mercury
Yeah.
rules the mind,
Yeah.
which is why I think that resonates so heavy for you. And as you know, I'm surrounded by Geminis. Your grandmother, your auntie T, all y'all are Geminis. So that mindset stuff is
That's
important. So
weird. That's
I
really weird.
know. It's
Double
very
up.
interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. I don't think it's weird anymore now that I understand astrology. We're all teaching each other. We're all teaching
So
each other.
does that mean like Auntie T and Grandma and Niecy, are they all like me in a certain way? Like Do that?
Well, you know, Anais, your cousin, she's actually a Cancer. She's a June birthday, but she actually falls into Cancer. So she's different for sure. Cancer is a very different energy than Gemini. Um, I think that families are constellations, and we all kind of come together with certain energies to help each other in our journeys as a family, and to teach and to push and to pull. I think the fact that you, my mother, and my sister are all Geminis means that there is some Gemini energy that I'm needing to have more in my life. My Gemini sits in the hidden part of self in my chart. When you look at my chart, Gemini sits in the
Oh,
hidden. Yes.
that's odd. That's
Yes. So you guys are all helping me bring my Gemini more to the conscious.
mm,
And that Scorpio energy that I'm giving each of you is to help you guys push a bit more into the deeper spaces of yourselves, because that's what
okay.
Scorpio wants.
Do
And
Scorpios
Nisi's
and Geminis go?
that's they can be a tough kind of combination only because Gemini is much more concerned about the outer, like, I don't want to say flighty, but kind of like the external, like, oh, like curious over here, random over there. Where
Yeah.
Scorpio's like, no, we need to be serious and we need to get to the depth of everything. So with that, that can be kind of hard for Gemini, and Scorpio can be like, Gemini's not deep enough. Like it can do that, but they actually can really help each other. It can help Gemini get a little bit more focused and more
Mhm.
concentrated, and Gemini can help lighten up the Scorpio energy. So
Huh.
yeah. Yeah. And then Nisi's Cancer, and Cancer is just, she just take care of everybody. That's the Cancer is the nurturer. Just, let me just make
That is
everybody feel
neat.
good. And
That
that's
is.
what she is. Yeah, it's very interesting. So, well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
You're good at this, mommy. I'm not gonna lie. You're actually good. You ask good questions. You keep it going too. You're a good talker. I don't
Oh, good. That's the Gemini. Y'all have helped me learn how to talk. No, you were a great guest. Both you and Trey killed it. I'm so excited. So I love you tremendously. Words are not enough to say how much. So I
love you too,
appreciate
mommy.
you.
Love you too.
Ah, yeah, I appreciate you doing this. So for those who are listening, thanks for checking in. We will be back again next week. It's funny, we pre-record all this, and I had said this was going to be kind of the last episode of the year, but I'm like, should it be the last, or should we kick off the year with this? I don't know. I don't know. So depending, we'll have to
Yeah.
see.
Wait, this is gonna be the second to last?
No, I was going to make this the last episode of the year. Or now that we've talked, I'm like, maybe we should kick off the year. So I don't
Yeah.
know. If you have a vote, you can always let me know. But
Okay. Yeah. I think last of
I
the
do
year.
too. I
Last
do
of the year.
too. I'm feeling that. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So anyway, so probably yes. By the time then this actually is aired, it's going to be a new year. The next time we do our next episode. So we're going to keep it going. But you guys all be good. Bryant, you stay right there for a minute. I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.